Hello, welcome to Should I Buy This Game featuring Tea Witches. My name is Christine, and in this video I'll give you an overview of how the game is played and then share a few things we may like or dislike about the game to help you decide if you want to add Tea Witches to your collection. This is the game Tea Witches. And in this game we're going to be summoning witches who will become our customers, and then we're going to go visit the boutiques so we can gather supplies to fulfill their orders. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of how the game is played. Then I'm going to share an unofficial solo mode and finish off with some final thoughts on the game. So Tea Witches is played over 4 days, and we start here on day 1, and there's always a start thing. So in this case, we gain 2 teeth and draw a to-go card, and we would put our player on the day 1. So the teeth are some toppings, and they can just go onto your board. And then the to-go cards are over here, and you can get a 2 or a 4. A 2 gives you 2 things you have to match up, and a 4 gives you 3 things you have to match up. So when you start playing, I would suggest starting with the 2s because these ones have a little more difficulty. So I would just get one of these. This is private. You can look at it and keep it upside down, but I'm going to keep it face up so we know what we're looking for, and I'll explain those a little later. So from there, the first thing you want to do is summoning. And so everybody has their own deck of witch cards. Now there's 2 sides of the board. This side here gives us 3 hex wards, meaning that if we get hexed, we always will have at least these 3 cards safe. On the opposite side, it only gives you 1 to start with, meaning it's a little more difficult. So the more you play the game, then you can try and do that level. So what you do is you turn it over, you look at the witch and say, you may swap this card with the previous card to activate its effects. We don't have a previous card, so that would be ignored. Then you turn this. You make sure it's not the same witch. It is not. It is a familiar. And we get to add a little eye to his card. So we're going to continue. This is the trash witch. Must draw 2 cards. So we draw 1. This one allows us to add 1 coin to the next card. We are still good because we do not have a duplicate yet. So I'm just going to put it down here. So I can add a coin to her card based on our previous witch. If you are hexed, do not discard this card or any card in the line before it. So that means that everything we have here is safe. Even if we get hexed, we will not lose any of these cards. This one allows you to add one of your choice. So maybe I'll add a little bug, a little topping of my choice. I could actually add the tooth since this card actually needs a tooth, but this card needs a bug, tooth. Maybe I sort of have a lot of bugs and teeth, so I'll just let it be. This card says, look at the next card before choosing to continue summoning. So we still haven't been hexed, so it's still safe. So we'll look at the next card, and you'll see it's a double. Now, because we're able to look at it, I can choose, we are not going to play it, because if we play it, we would be hexed, and that would mean we would lose these 2 witches from our beginning as well as the little topping token. So I choose to stop because I was able to just look. So now we would add whatever we got into our area. The familiars would be put on a discard pile. This witch, she's just there to cause problems. And then these get moved up. So these will be the witches that I want to serve tea to. Now, being the start of the game, there's a good chance I may not be able to serve all these witches this game, because that's a lot of different colors tea I probably won't be able to get. But we want to look, we want pink with some teeth, green with 2 bugs, yellow with a tooth and a bug, the red with an eye and a tooth, and the brown with 2 eyes. Up here we have a few toppings already, and so these are the things we're going to be looking for when we head out to the boutique. So when you head out to the boutique, you take your little teapup and you come over here and place it on one of the different actions. So we're going to do the 3, so I can show you the 3 actions that are possible in the game. The first action is you can rotate this. These are the 6 different colors of tea. And if you do not want the tea that's present, one action can be to rotate. So I think I'll go for pink. So 1, I rotated. The second action could be to fill my teapup with tea. So now he has a pink tea. And then my third action is to refill. And to refill allows me to take the tea that was in my pup, put it onto my board as long as I have a place to place the tea, which currently I only have the 1. And then I take a new one and refill the teapup. Now here I could have easily just taken that color, but there are times where you may have a color here and then you go to refill with a new color if you change up the order of things. That's why I want to show you the way I showed you. In the next example, I will show you another option. Now, because I was here first, if somebody else came, they would go here. They could only do 2 of the actions, but they would also get a topping of their choice. And the third person could only do 1 action, but get 2 toppings of their choice. And the toppings are those teeth and bugs and eyes we saw earlier. So I have my tea, and because of that, I'm going to need some more storage if I want to hold more tea. So this is a good place to come, the Full Moon Market, because this is where we can buy upgrades for our hut. These ones here allow you to place teas. These ones here allow you to place your toppings, but you can use them for a new topping. So there's different types of storage. The relics allow you to place tea throughout the game. However, at the end of the game, this particular one is scoring for yellow. So for every yellow tea you have here would get you extra points. So if you had 4, you would receive 10 points at the end of the game. During the game, though, you can just use it to store tea. Modifiers do just that. So you could put your eyeball toppings here. However, when you go to use it, it could be any wild topping that you want it to be. And there's space for 3. Generators gain you something. So here I could put a tea and then I could gain a coin. And I have 3 spots. This is a modifier again, but for tea. So this time, if there's any color tea here, it would be the same as a brown tea. Here's a generator. So if I put, say, a pink tea here, I could put an additional pink tea out. And this is a different relic that allows you to pay 1 coin to rotate the fountain once per turn. So instead of needing an action space to do it, I could pay a coin and rotate the fountain. And those are just some of the examples that you can get. Now, because at the start of the game, I ended up, you start with 3 coins and I got an extra coin from a witch. I have 4 coins, which allows me to get a medium storage. So I'm going to go with the generator. So I take my generator and I put it on my board. Once it's placed, you cannot move it. And now I have a place to put more tea onto my board. Then I'm going to put out a new one. Here we have a generator. So if I was to put a pink tea here, I could get 2 additional pink teas. And that is how the Full Moon Market works and how the different storage components work as well, the upgrades. So once you finish up in the boutique, you can go and serve tea to your witches. But for this video, I'm going to show you each of the areas of the boutique first before we talk about serving tea. So another place you can go is My Specialties. And so I'm going to bring my teapup here, and I'm going to do the 3 movements again, but just show you how you can do something a little different. So what I could do first is I could fill, instead of turning, I want green, and I can fill my teapot. Now, if you remember at the beginning, we had this to-go tea thing. This to-go is all based on what is happening on the board, not the tea you have in your hut. So here my pup has a green, and there is a green tea here, and that fulfills my to-go order. So since I have matched up my to-go order, whoever is the pup that helped contribute gets 1 heart. So I use my own pup, so I get the heart, but this is if somebody else had their pup here in the green and it matched up, you could then say my to-go order is done, even when it isn't your turn. So the hearts are here on my board, and I would move over 1, and when I get to the end, I would get a reward ticket that I can use to fulfill a witch's order that is a loyal customer. And then I also receive 2 coins. So this is done. It is going to be worth 2 points at the end of the game, so I'm just going to keep it handy. So I'm putting it aside. So the first thing I did was fill my teacup. Now the second thing I want to do is to rotate. So maybe this time, I'm just trying to think what I want to do. Maybe I want red. So I would rotate for number 2. And then for number 3, I'm going to fill my teacup. So that is when I would take my green that was already here, put it into my area. Now because of my generator, I gain a coin. And then I fill my teacup with the new color, which is now red. So that is how you can get 2 different colors in a turn. So now that I've done my actions, I'm going to gain each of the toppings. So it's an eye, a tooth, and the bug. And put them into my hut. The toppings can go anywhere where there isn't the upgrade, unless the upgrade holds the toppings. And then down here, I can buy a specialty card for 2 coins. And so it just gives you things like swap up to 3 different teapops with each other before the last call step. The last call step is the last chance to do your to-go orders that I just showed you. So if you're swapping them, you're putting the pups where you want to fulfill your card. This one is to activate any boutique instead of the current one. So I could go here and activate one of the other boutiques. So maybe I went here because of the actions available to me, but I really want to do something else. And this one allows you to gain 3 actions during the perform action step of this turn. So I would like this one because it allows me to gain 3 extra actions during a turn. And I would just put that into my area. If I don't use the action, I will get 2 points at the end of the game. And then it just gets refilled. And I would have to pay my 2 coins for the card. And that is my specialties. Our next boutique is Howl's Warehouse. This allows you to sell tea for 2 coins and or buy 1 upgrade below. So what happens is at the end of the round, if whatever is left over here at the full moon market, all of these get now brought over to the warehouse. And they are now sold at a discounted price. And so instead of being 246, it's now 135. So this is how you can get your upgrades for a cheaper price after other people have already picked through what they wanted. And then at the end of the round, these would get put away and the new ones from the full moon market would come here. So you're always getting different selections at both the full moon market and Howl's Warehouse. Next we have Brew to Go, and these action spaces work a little different because we're just getting toppings. However, you can fill your teacup with any tea color you want, and then you get to draw either 2 2s or 1 4 of the to-go orders that I showed you earlier. So you would get these and just add them to your play area, and once the configurations have been set up, you can cash in your to-go cards. And that is what happens at Brew to Go. Here is Hex Support, and this works a little differently again. So say my pup had come here and I got a pink one. I can serve one of these witches. So if I wanted to serve the one with the pink tea, I would have to give up one of my little eyeball toppings. If I was to do that, I could get a coin and I could get 1 heart on my scale, on that thing to get the reward. So you can do this, and or you can buy a hex ward. They sell for 1, 2, and 3 coins. When you collect them, if you have 1 at the end, it's worth 3 points, 2's worth 6, 3 is worth 12 points. They give you this one, gives you 1 coin, 1 heart, and 1 coin and 1 heart. So when you buy it, what you do is you come over here and you put it on one of your hex areas. On one of, sorry, my board keeps moving. You put on one of these hex ward areas. If you fulfill the witch that is underneath the hex ward, then you receive these rewards. So as I said, it's 1 coin and 1 space on this heart here, the line to get the reward coupon. And the more you have, the more points you get. Now here, these hexes are already safe, but as I mentioned, on the other side of the board, there's only 1. So you might want to get these earlier so you can have more hex wards to prevent your witches from being hexed and disappearing on you. And that is how Hex Support works. And the last area is the Celebrity Crush. Here you again, your actions are a little different. You get 2 plus you get a topping. So you pick which topping you're interested in. And here you're going to be serving these celebrities different teas, whatever it shows on the card. If you're able to do that, you get to add them to your loyal customers. You get to gain the benefits that are on your celebrity, which is usually a lot more powerful. And by having them in your loyal customers, if you can keep them as a loyal customer till the end of the game, you will score 6 points per each celebrity loyal customer you have. So at the end of each turn, you can serve tea. Now you leave your pups where they are, but for the video, I'm just going to move them over so I can explain them to you. So we had 1 pup with the red orange, and we had another pup with pink. So when it comes to serving tea, the color that is in your teapots can be used against your witches for serving tea. So let's see what we can serve. This first witch here wants a pink and 2 teeth toppings. Now because my pup had pink here, I can use this pink. I do not have to use the pink that's here. I already have 1 pink here in my pot. Now if they wanted 2 pinks, then I would use 1 in my pot and this. But because they only want 1, I can use the 1 in my pot, and then I would do 2 teeth. This one would be served, and I would get the bonus of 2 hearts. So let's see, the green. I did manage to get a green, so I would then turn this green in. It would like leave my area. It wants 2 of the little bugs. So I had fulfilled that one. He also gives me 2 hearts. I happen to get all the ones with 2 hearts. There's other ones that want 2 of a certain color tea, and they will give you 2 coins. But for my examples here, I had 2 hearts. Now every time you fulfill a witch, you can move it down. So if you had the different hexes here, you would gain the different rewards. Now I do not have any yellow tea, so I cannot fulfill this witch. I do have that sort of red-orange tea, as well as the 2 toppings that she wants. So I can fulfill hers, and I would get an additional 2 hearts. And then I do not have the brown tea. So if it was the end of the day after I took my 2 turns and it was my last time fulfilling it, at the end of the day, any witches that you do not fulfill, you put those in your discard pile. Any witches that you did fulfill come to be your loyal customers. So if in the next round I can fulfill these orders, I get to keep them as my loyal customers. And at the end of the game, you get 4 points for every loyal customer you have. Now, when it comes to these coupons, if you have a coupon, you can use it on a loyal customer witch to automatically fulfill their order, but you do not receive the bonus. But it keeps them as a loyal customer. So that is what these coupons are used for. So I would leave them there for that. And then at the end of the game, any tea that you had in your teapots could be put into your area as long as you have the storage for it. And in this case, it generated me 2 more coins for the next round. Then at the end of the day, you come here, and in this case, you can buy 1 loyalty reward coupon for 3 coins. Even though I have 3 coins, I'm not going to do it because I'm close to getting 1 through my bonuses. Then you would go to the start of day 2, and you would gain, in this case, the 2 eyes and draw a to-go card. At the end of day 2, beginning of day 3, you receive a 3rd teapot to use, adding another turn to the day 3 and day 4. And then the upkeep at the end of the day would be you would remove the tiles from the full moon market and replace them with new ones. You would add a new celebrity on top of the one that's already there. And so if somebody used this one, that one's still available. And then the tiles we removed from the full moon market get put in Howl's warehouse. So whatever is here would be removed and replaced with the new ones that were left over from the full moon market. And then you're ready to go and start day 2. So after playing the game with people, I wanted to evaluate what the character or the player interaction was like. And typically it came down to the to-go cards. By having different pups on the board, you were able to do your to-go cards, as well as removing pieces from the game and taking up spots. Those are the main areas where the interaction comes in between the players. So what I decided to do was there are 6 parts to the board. So I numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I got a regular 6 die. I would roll it, and it would be 2. So I would put the player in area 2. I would put them in the spot closest to the end. And then when it comes to the tea, what I would do is I would roll the die again. I got a 2 again. So I would rotate it twice. And that's the tea I would fill in there. In terms of removing pieces, so for the warehouse and the full moon market, if we were in round 1, I would take a small, round 2 a medium, round 3 and 4 a large, and remove it from the game. For the specialty, whichever slot they ended up in, I would take the card that corresponded with the slot. Similarly with the celebrities, whichever spot they ended up in, I would take that celebrity card out of the game. And then for the hexes, again, for round 1, I would take a 1, 2, a 2, 3, a 3. It didn't really matter because there's more than enough hexes to go around. But just by rolling a die, putting them in a spot, and adding a T by rolling the die and moving it and adding a T, that was really all I needed to replicate the other player in the game. And by doing that, I was able to play this game solo. So overall, we really enjoy playing Tea Witches. So first, I just want to point out that these little pieces here are actually upgraded pieces. They come with chipboard, but I bought the upgrade pack. The other upgrade are the tea tokens, and you can see that they are clear. Now, some of them are sort of hard to tell the difference. So between like the orangey red and the pink, side by side, you can see the difference, but sometimes when you're looking at them individually, it's hard to see, or depending on your lighting. The same with the green and yellow are also sort of hard to tell the difference. So you might want to use the chipboard pieces that come with the game, because not only does it have the color, it has the different images. So if you have somebody that is colorblind, they can still tell the difference between the teas needed. I'll just put those back. But otherwise, the game gives you a lot of choices. So you're always able to do something. Now, the one thing we found about the game is it doesn't change based on player count. So if you're playing with 2 players, then for example, these 2 go cards, trying to get 3 pups in the same area that match your 2 go card can be very challenging. So you would probably want to just play more with the 2s because it's a lot easier to try and get the 2. You can do that yourself. If I had my pup here and it had the red, then we're done. So it's a lot easier to get the 2 with the 3. So for example, here, if my pup was over here, I got a green and then I rotated it to the yellow, then it's fulfilled because there's 1, 2 green and a yellow. But doing this with 2 players can be very challenging. So I think these cards are better for 3 and 4 players, the ones that have the 3 different teas. The other thing, though, would be the spots. With 2 players, you're guaranteed pretty much to get a spot in the boutique you want. But once you start playing with 3 or 4 players, then some of these spots, especially at the beginning, these might be taken. And like the first 2 players could get these. And even though this spot's available to you as a 3rd player, you want more than 1 action when you're starting the game. So you might not want to come here right away. Therefore, you may not get a storage space for your board during the first round. And you want it because you want to empty your teapots at the end of the round of that day. So when you're playing with a higher player count, some of these areas that are popular at certain parts in the game might get filled up really quickly. So you have to keep that in mind. So it's just there's no, it's the exact same game regardless of how many players you play with. But as I said, it was fun collecting it. When it comes to summoning the witches here, when I showed you the hex, the first game I played, I was great. I got hexed maybe once or twice. Since then, I think I've been hexed every single time I played. And I played this game 3 times. I played it solo with 2 players and 3 players. And the other thing is that when the first time we played with 3 players, I scored over 100. Gemma and I both scored over 100. When I played solo, I scored in the 90s. And then Gemma and I played with 2 players, and we scored in the 80s. So I don't know what it is, but every time I play, my score keeps going down. So you might think you know the game, and then it just does not work out the way it did that other time you played. Also getting certain witches. I had one of the witches. It might be out. This one here. Draw a to-go order or score 1 to-go order from your hand. So when we played with 3, I had this card. So I would always take the 4-point to-go orders. I would always take these. And then every time I served my witch, because I got her early, I would be able to like cash this in for 4 coins and the heart or that. And so I was always able to get the 4 points at the end of the game as well. So those were really good. If you have this witch, you can score a lot of those bigger to-go orders versus the small ones. So depending on which witches or which specialties you get your hands on can really affect the change of the game. In some games, I have a ton of toppings, and in other games, I had no toppings. In some games, I had a ton of money, and in other games, I had no money. So every game changes up. So if you like this sort of game, we really love the art and the look and the cozy feel of the game with the witches. Great for the fall. The theme with the tea, I think it all plays very well. Just those few things, though, to think about depending how many players you play with. So let me know if you have played Tea Witches and what you think of this game.